everyone, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be jacking up the 1980 CJ7. This is the ongoing project we have going on. 1980 CJ7 Jeep, 304 V8 AMC engine. And what we're going to be doing is I've already changed out the driver's side rear brakes, the drums and the shoes and the springs and all that good stuff, and I cleaned it all off. So I did a dry run on that just to see what was going on. And I'm going to have you guys be with me for the next side, the other side, the rear passenger drum, shoes, springs, all of it. So the other side was gunked up, had a bunch of grease and goo and nastiness and dirt, and it was just a mess. And the sad thing about it was, just like with the front, how the calipers had locked up just from, you know, vehicle sitting for 12 years. The shoes for the brakes actually weren't really that worn down at all. Just like the pads in the front. And it was just such a gunked up process that it was just really a shame that, you know, the poor little Jeepy had to be sitting for so long. So without further ado, I've already got my jack set up, my jack stands. Again, these videos are for novice people that are learning to do their own repairs. So as with the other videos, I'm going to walk you guys through with what I'm doing. Also, my disclaimer, my daughter and my dog are outside and they will be playing. So right now, the dog is over there. She's playing with her squeaky toy. So if you hear squeaks in the background, that's my red Doberman, European red Doberman. And you might see my little redhead running around too. She stepped inside for a moment to go potty, but I'm sure she'll be out in just a moment and you'll probably see her too. So I'm going to pause you guys and get you set up so you can see what I'm doing with the jack and the brake stands. Or the jack and the jack stands. I get tongue-tied, sorry. Alright, so I have my jack lined up. I have stands number 1 and stand number 2. I am a very cautious person, so I always end up using 2 jacks. I know it's a little excessive, but I just never want to have an issue. So you line up your jack with your frame, start pumping it up. I have a larger jack than most of you would probably have, and that's because this Jeep is lifted. So if I didn't have such a tall jack, I wouldn't be able to get clearance off the ground. Well, I wouldn't be able to get it up high enough to get my tire off. I also have different sized stands. These are the tallest ones I have, and they're the tallest ones that I've found. They work for the Jeep, so I don't need anything bigger than that. Alright, so we're locked into the frame right now. You just want to check it, and we're just going to pump it up. I'm going to change my position because now I got to use bits of upper body strength. There she starts. Alright, so now she's squared up, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing that we did before. Let's see if I can just tilt you guys instead of pausing. We're going to go to the tire. I'm going to grab my 4-way, get you guys a little bit better. I'm going to grab my 4-way and get these lug nuts off, the studs, and then we'll get the tire off. Okay, we are back. I had to check and make sure. Less visibility out here today. Okay, so we're gonna do, when I did put the jack up, or when I put the Jeep on the jack, it was just replacement. I actually did not raise up the vehicle, so that's crucial whenever you're taking the tire off, or when you're breaking your lug nuts. And by breaking, what I mean is to get the lug nuts to move. So you get your 4-way, you put it on the lug nut. I do not have a lot of upper body strength, so I use my foot. So what I do is I make sure that I have a good angle right here, and I push, and that works. So once they're broken, sometimes they give more of a issue than other times, then you just move on to the next one. So you're just getting them to be mobile, and then once they are mobile, that one was easy. once they're mobile, then you're gonna jack with your Jeep. So then we go right back over here, check our placement. We've already lined everything up, and we jack up the Jeep. And the tire just popped off the ground a little bit. Gotta go a little bit higher than that. And that's as far as it's gonna let us go. Because again, I have a huge space here because the Jeep is lifted. It's got a 6-inch suspension lift and a 2-inch body lift. So it is an extra 8 inches off the ground than it should be. So it creates a little bit of a fun time when we're jacking it up. Yes, there are people that have more lifted Jeeps than mine, but she has 8 inches and that's all she's ever going to do or have. So then, after we do the jack stand, we are going to, oh, my neighbor's outside. We are going to get our stands up as high as we can get them with the clicking. The way that works is you pull it up. It's got a little a divot right here in the side of the jack stand. You can actually see it from the side. I think you guys can see that. And so all those notches catch this bar that is constantly there. That's the way that that works. And so we're going to leave it that way so we can get the rest of the lug nuts off. And then after we do that, we will end up setting it up where the jack stands are supporting the vehicle and not the jack, because jacks over time can actually go down and you don't want to put yourself in a dangerous situation with that. So we're going to go right back over here to the tire. It's about 5 o'clock, so it's going to be a little bit more dim of a video than normal. This is actually this side. And we're going to get these off. Again, maintaining the correct angle of being straight. I want the way to be straight. I am already dirty because while I was working on the drum and everything earlier, I got dirty, and then I also decided to pressure wash everything in the undercarriage, and so I am using one of my favorite products, which is oil rub bronze, and I will be painting it. This side is not painted yet, the other side has been painted with its first coat, and then I'll be doing more. And this is my last rim to clean up and spray paint. And if this side isn't as bad as the other side, then I will show you what the other side looked like, because the other side was horrible. Absolutely horrible. Sometimes you can spin them, but this vehicle's been sitting for so long. Studs are dry, the lug nuts are dry, and it's just creating resistance the whole way through. I will be so happy when this rim is done, because the other three look great. And then one of the other projects that's going to be on the roster is taking the front wheels back off again, so that I can end up putting those calipers on, because I had to paint the calipers. I went ahead and put the tires back on. So I'll be putting in the new calipers for the front wheels. So that will be yet another video. We also will do a video when we change out the water pump. Show you guys what I did to change out the thermostat when I replaced the radiator, and then I can at least show you how the radiator is changed out. We won't actually be doing it, it'll be more referencing and letting you know any issues that I came up with along the way. Same with the surge solenoid. I have a whole lot of videos for you for this little, well, it's not a little, but for this Jeep project. Probably the only thing that's good that's come out of quarantine is getting the time to do the load of work that this Jeep needed after sitting for 12 years. All in one shot too, because we're very close to being done with her. Then she will go back to being in the queue of vehicles that are drivable, which is where she should be. And she'll be in the rotation. So Trailblazer gets driven around every now and then. The Ram does the most driving, and then the Jeep. And look, this last lug nut, getting it off of there. And I actually did not go in the correct order because I was talking to you guys. It should be one side to the other side to the following side. I made a big point about that in one of my other videos. Very distracted. It's been a long day working on the Jeep, doing paperwork. So it should have been here to here to here to here to here. And that way it wouldn't have stressed out the wheel, or not the wheel, but the studs, which are these little guys. So same as what I've done on all the other sides of the Jeep. I have cleaned, checked out the studs, and made sure that they were in good condition before putting the wheel back on. So now we get the wheel off, which this is much larger of a wheel than you guys would probably have on your vehicles, unless you have large tires like I do. And now we're going to go back over here to the jack and the jack stands. And so what we're going to do is we've got this guy lined up, this guy lined up. My daughter's going to ride by on her bike in a second. And I'm going to slowly bring the jack down a little bit.
Can't you see?
But you can see.
Okay.
So we're going to slowly drop it down a little bit. Check our placement for the stands, because I tightened it as soon as it started going down and it wasn't exactly where I thought it should be. Slow, slow, slow. Resting on one, resting on both, and we'll keep it right there. So now we know that this one and this one are supporting the weight of the Jeep, and the jack stand is still in place. I know eventually it'll go down depending on how long it takes to do this stuff, but I don't want to take all of the, I don't want to end up dropping it all the way down, because it means I got to jack it all the way back up again. And I really don't feel like doing that. So the weight's on the jack stands, and that's all I really care about. And I'm going to check to see if you guys can see what I see. Do you see what I see? Oh, you see me. Well, hello there. And now my dog's going to hit the door a bunch and say, I want to go inside. I'm tired of being outside with mommy. I'm going to put you guys right there. And on the other side, this was a pain in the butt to get off. It was super locked up. I think on this side it's going to do the same thing. So, Isabel, will you hand me that hammer, and then will you go to the other side and get me one of my screwdrivers?
Yes, because I am your helper.
You are my helper.
I've been your helper for a long time.
Yes, you have. So what I did on the other side is I actually just kind of pried back and forth. Gave it a couple taps in different places. You can see it does space it out a little bit.
What's on that side?
Screwdriver, sweetheart. I'm just trying to get enough of a space for me to be able to stick the screwdriver in there and get it to come off. Because right now, they want to be friends, and I don't want them to be friends. There's a screwdriver right there. Oh, you have one. Do not run. Absolutely not. Thank you. You never run when you have something that can poke you. Life lessons with Jeep lessons.
Life lessons? What?
Yes, because it's a lesson in life. You don't run with sharp things, because if you fall, you can impale yourself with whatever you have.
No, Mommy, if I fall one time, then I don't hurt myself. If I fall another time, then I get myself.
Alright, so we almost have a space here. And we do have a space. Let's see if I can change that angle. So you're really going to have this issue if, like this Jeep, your vehicle's been sitting forever and ever and ever. So what we're doing is working our way around to loosen all of this up. to get this guy to come off. He will. I'm not really worried about damaging the case. Well, it's not the case, but the drum, because I have a new one I'm going to put on there, and it was painted. Although it's kind of dirty because it was under the Jeep when I pressure washed. Will you get me another screwdriver, please? So basically, you guys can see, I think you can see what I'm doing. Where I am putting the screwdriver right there, you can see that there is a space that gets created, and I'm just working my way around. So I'm going to continue to work with it, and if I get it to pop, then I will be back and show you guys, well, not if, but when I get it to pop, I will show you guys how to do that. So I'm going to pause you so I can play with this. Okay, so I ended up getting the hammer in here, and I was able to torque it around enough, and it finally got that shoe to let go. So now I just fight with it the rest of the way to get it off, because both of these shoes were stuck on it. And so you can kind of see on the inside that they were really stuck in place. And all this wear from them just being stuck out. So this drum is actually in worse condition than the other one was. You can see those big gouges right here. Again, ignore the nails. We're in quarantine. Haven't been able to get them filled. And this one is not all gooed up. This one is just dirty and yucky. That's it. So significantly better condition, which isn't really saying much. And to give you guys some information on what all this is. So there's two different types of brake styles. This is, get you guys down a little bit. I love this selfie stick. It's awesome. As long as it doesn't drop you guys. All right. So what this is these are your shoes. And what they do is kind of the same, but kind of the opposite at the same time. I know that sounds kind of crazy. What they do is when you apply the brakes, you have your brake reservoir in the front of the vehicle. Actually, you know what? I'll take you guys on a tour so you guys know what I'm talking about. This is instructional. Yeah, I almost fell. That was great. Okay, so you have your brake reservoir, which is right here, and ours is open because I've been constantly adding fluid to it because of what I've been doing with the brakes, because I'm bleeding the lines each time I'm going through. I'll make a separate video whenever I bleed all of the brakes, because there's just a lot of gunk going on with all of this. So you bleed the brakes, and then, or I've been bleeding the brakes, which has caused an issue. And then what you do, oh, my daughter needs me. I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so I'm back. So anyways, this is your master cylinder, otherwise known as the reservoir where all the brake fluid goes. This is where this goes. You have your primary tank, which is your larger one, and you have your secondary tank, and it's supposed to pull from that whenever it's going down. That, you know, could be different in your vehicle, just depends. And you have your vacuum booster, and then you guys can see the vacuum booster actually has a bolt in here, and that is bolted to where your brake is, right here. So if you apply your brake, then the bolt applies it to the vacuum booster, which pushes the fluid, and this normally has a top on it, and that pushes the brake fluid through the lines. When there's brake fluid, depending on what portion, if you have if you have disc brakes, it works a different way, but since we're working on the drums, I'll explain to you how that works. So you get that fluid push when you put on the brakes, and then what happens is the fluid goes all the way through. Actually, this is not it, this is something else. The fluid ends up going through your brake line, which is right here, and then your brake line ends up going into the back, and then it goes to, this is a point where I should probably put you guys back on the stand, so pause. Okay, so brake fluid goes through from your line back here, which I showed you a second ago. And then that brake fluid ends up going into this cylinder right here, wheel cylinder. The wheel cylinder has these little rubber grommets, and then it has these two little push pin guys. So when the pressure build gets pushed, it actually causes these two pins to push out, and it causes your shoes to push out. All the springs are basically to keep everything in place where it's supposed to be and everything like that. And then, so basically, the wheel is spinning. And then when the brakes are applied, because of the brake fluid that goes to the cylinder, which creates the pressure to pop these guys out, these two guys, the shoes, put you guys down just a smidge more. The shoes expand and they create resistance so that they won't allow movement anymore. The reason why I said that this is very similar to the calipers but kind of different in the same way is the brake fluid goes through into the caliper, and then the caliper has a different design where it has a rotor, which is the flat surface. So imagine all of this is gone and it's a singular disc. So you got your rotor, and then you've got the calipers on either side, which have the brake pads here and here into the rotor. So the same compression is occurring, but the pads actually grab that caliper and then slow that caliper down. So in this instance, you get the grooves in here because the brake shoes have expanded on the inside of it, and it's causing it to stop and everything else. With the rotor and the calipers, my dog and my child are evidently in an argument over a toy. With the rotors, the calipers are compressing and they're stopping that disc. So that's the basic principle of it. And when we go through, we add on the calipers that I have since removed, which I won't have a removal vid. I think the removal video is part of the very long 2-part video for changing out the bearings, because that's how I discovered that they were messed up. So to go back to business, bring you guys back up. Hello, hello, hello. Make it where you guys are down a little bit. There we go. All right, so now we have our springs, and this is significantly better, which is not saying much, and my hands are already dirty. What we're going to do is we're going to get these springs off of here. And you are here too. So what I'm doing is I'm going to remove the springs, which is a little annoying. There are special tools to use this stuff. I don't have the special tools. I'm using screwdrivers, and then I'll end up using pliers. So basically, once I put some pressure on this, it's going to cause this spring to bounce off. And there it goes. Boom. And I'm very cautious with that. I could wear my eyewear. I should wear my eyewear. But basically, I know from gravity and the way that a spring works is if I have it here, then it's going to get caught. So what I do, just to troubleshoot myself the best, or just to keep myself organized the best that I can, is I try to keep everything put together. So I'm also going to be finding a way to get this guy off. So I wiggle, I free, and it's actually a brake on this side too. Wiggle and free, and then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm putting that pressure up. Oh, I almost did it. I got distracted by the car going down the road. I want to make sure that it stays on the screwdriver. So now it's close. Lots of distractions out here today for this. Out close, it's going to catch on the screwdriver, and boom, there, it's on the screwdriver. It's amazing how you can predict things that happen. So we got that screw, or that spring, this spring. There are a few springs. I was very, very intimidated by this, because this is the only vehicle that I have had that has these guys, and I had not done them before. So if you think I'm doing something wrong, let me know. But you know what? The other side works. So these springs are actually compressed right here. You can see this one a little bit better. They look like little buttons, but they actually have a little cap and a spring and a pull. So on the other side, all I did was I found the end of that on the outside of the assembly, and I just pushed it so that way it wouldn't go in there. This was actually a little bit easier with the gunked upness on the other side. There is a tool for this where it compresses it. And I saw in one video somebody used their pliers, which I might have to pause you guys because Isabel does not know what pliers are. Because on the other side, all I did was hold the thing down on the other side, turned it, and poof, it popped out. Okay, go potty, baby. Okay, so I'm going to pause you guys and get the pliers because it's just going to make it easier. Okay, so I did move the springs a little bit out of the way. Couldn't find my traditional pliers, but this guy's almost there. And so I'm just moving this around until it gets in that little flat spot. And he's going to pop a little bit when he comes out, because there's a line. I'm not really too concerned if he gets damaged along the way because the springs are in the new kit that I got. And there's one. Boom. So now that he is out, I will show you how he works. The other side just came out really easily. Didn't have to really fight with it. So it's basically this little pin, and it gets held in by the back, and then it's a spring, and then it's this little cap. And this little cap has a line that easily allows that in there, but under pressure, when it's held like that, it holds it that way. So the new ones aren't really difficult to put in at all. And like I said, the other side, it just came out really easily. But that's what we were fighting against. So I'm going to put him to the side right here. And see if I can get the other one to work too. Please don't make those noises, Izzy. That's what I might end up doing if I can grab it. Just hold that little pin in the back with my adjustable vice grips. Nope, it's not gonna let me. And just swivel it around a little bit until it pops. Because it's also almost there, just it keeps getting caught on this. And the head of it just wants to get stuck. So, when it doesn't work the normal way, you try another way, like holding it with your leg and see if you can get that guy to pop out like he's supposed to. Or forcing him to spin. Oh, it's almost there. Come on. Boom, and he's out. He catapulted a little bit. Izzy, can you hand me that top? That little silver top? Thank you. Yes. No throwing stuff. So then we have this guy. We've already got that one. A lot of yuck going on here. We're going to take our emergency line here. This actually has a connection to the line right here. So when you push your emergency brake on, it tightens this. You'll see the coil in a minute, and that's how your emergency brakes work on the back with drums. All right, and then there's a spring under here that likes to hide. Take you guys off the jack stand and show you. Most brakes are very similar. And so, right, it's hard to get the picture just right. You guys are all looking at me. I'm not trying to get you to look at me. But right in here, how do I get this? Right in here, you see that spring? That spring right there. So it's hooked up just like the ones on the top. It's a different kind of spring. And that actually hooks up to this little gizmo. And then your little adjuster right here. This little spinny guy. And then, of course, the brake line that we just took out. Or the emergency brake line that we just took out. So, on the other side, I'm trying to put you guys back in the jack stand. On the other side, he came out at the emergency brake line. And it was not fun putting him back in there. Somebody has a better trick for that, I'd like to know. So I'm going to try to be very cautious with this new guy. So just like I didn't take off from this end, I am going to put my screwdriver in there and unhook from this gizmo, and then I will show you on the ground how that works. I might actually just take out the plate instead. It might work easier. Somebody out there made a video where all of this wasn't there, and so people could see exactly what he was doing. I'm not taking all this stuff off just to show you guys. But you can kind of see under here. But that's where it's at. And we pushed that out. We grabbed him. The adjuster fell out. Put all this on the ground so that you guys can see how all this works. So we have one brake free. If I put you guys down. Also, ignore my toes because quarantine.
Mommy, look.
Alright, so this is the brake line I was talking about that I really don't want to mess up. So I'm going to very nicely undo this pin, probably with my larger screwdriver, as it keeps all of that assembly on there. And you just push it, and he'll come out. He just needs a little bit of a nudge. He's almost there.
Mommy, look, I have bullets.
And there is a replacement for him in the package with the springs if you end up doing this. Either way, I think that easier and nicer, and I prefer them over this. So I'm pretty much assured that at some point these, Izzy, please stop talking. At some point these brakes will be changed out for just brakes. I don't like the drums. And there's the clip. Boom, it's out. So we're gonna let him come out. He should come out nicely. The other guy came out nicely. But we learned from the bearings on the other video that if one side comes out nicely, the other side wants to be special. Alright, so we're going to let him just suspend himself right there. And then we've got this that holds both of these guys. So the way that this all works, you guys can see it, sort of. So there's a little knob right here at the top. And this little knob up here is where this guy sits. And this spring is right there. This spring is right there. They attach to that little knob at the top. This is the adjustable guy, so he has these divots in him so he can sit with the shoes. he adjusts as time goes by. It's actually the cable sit there. And so as he adjusts, he's adjusting this. And so this will rotate. This spring at the bottom clips into the plate and the adjuster. The spring keeps everything together. This spring, which is now under this part of the shoe, this spring goes into this one, and then they have their tops and their tops. And then the emergency brake line also gets clipped into the plate at the bottom, and with everything not being tight, it makes it fun. But this is basically where he ends up going with these yellow clips. And then there's the bar that gets pulled and torn and everything else from the spring. So if I did my emergency brake, you would see that this spring compresses, and it would force all of this to open up the same way that the brake lines would. And then there is also this spacer bar that I just removed off the top, and he rests in here. He has a spring so that he goes back and forth. And then this is the wheel cylinder. So these little guys pop out, and they would actually be on top of him. And so when the brake lines put brake, or when the brake fluid gets pressure, it would force these guys out, and that's what controls this whole thing. So you never knew that all that was happening when you put your foot on the brake, did you? Didn't think so. So I'm going to pause you guys and put you in the back, because we actually are going to be replacing the wheel cylinder and all of the springs, the shoes, and the painted drum. So I'll give you a pause and get you to the back of it. Okay, so if you look at the rear part of this brake assembly, you will see that there is one bolt here, a bleeder valve, and then the line that goes from the brakes. So what we're going to do is I'm going to spray some penetrating fluid here. We're going to ignore our bleeder valve because we don't need to do anything with that. And then we're going to spray some penetrating oil right here for the first bolt and for the second bolt. And if you're dealing with a vehicle that is not a 1980 CJ7, just like with the calipers, they pretty much all work the same way. So if you can identify how that wheel cylinder is being held, then you can identify how that wheel cylinder will be held in another vehicle. It's typically 2 bolts at the top, the bleeder valve, which is it's there just to bleed the brakes and get the air out of the systems and do your brake flushes and all that stuff. Zena had not made her appearance yet, so she had to, hello, did you give me your toy so I could draw it for you? Huh? Did you give me your toy? Did you say hi? Okay, okay. You want to get your toy? Zena, sit. No, no. Okay. Zena, you want to go play? Sit. Zena, sit. Zena, speak. You ready? Go get it. All right. So hopefully that keeps her at bay for a minute. She's going to bring it right back over and want to play tug of war. Nope, she ran over to the other side. Okay, so I'm going to get the penetrating oil, and then I'm going to apply it because I already showed you guys where I was going to do that. And then we will work on getting you guys in a position where you can actually see things as they're happening while that wheel cylinder is being removed. Okay? Sounds like a plan. Hello again. Okay, so we have a 1/2-inch socket, and what we're going to be doing is getting ourselves in this situation where we can do this, and that one just, boom, it's not really that difficult. I'm going to loosen this one up a little bit. Zena and Izzy are playing together, so that's nice. And we're snugging it up and loosen this one up a little bit. So see, you can be a mom and do all this stuff and have your children out here doing everything. Now, the fun part was this little guy back here, and I haven't grabbed his tool because on the other side he's a bit rounded, so I hope that we don't have a big issue with him like we did on the other side. Spray him with some more penetrating oil. And so I'm going to get the wrench for him, tell you the size, and then fight with him for a little bit. And then we'll be back. Okay, got my 3/8 for you guys, and just get it past all this gunk on this little, basically it's a bolt. It's like a banjo bolt, but it goes through to the brake line. It's very difficult to see. Izzy has decided to grab some of my tools, and she is trying to work on her bicycle. And the puppy is driving her crazy. Oh, and look, I got it. It's coming. Spinning. That wasn't very difficult at all. The other side was kind of a pain in the butt. And so you just loosen him up, and he will come out. He's getting a little stuck. There we go. Keep loosening him up. Of course, my finger's in the way, so you guys can't see what I'm doing. Almost. Just a hair more. Oh, it's like every time I try to do it with my fingers, it doesn't want to work. Alright, and we'll just keep up this process. Okay, and now he is, it looks like he's free. He might not be free. I thought he was free. Some fluid there. Okay, he is free. Oh, the fun thing is getting that line out. That line is very stuck in there. Okay, so we're going to go back to the socket, and we're going to undo the rest of the way for these two guys. And they hold wheel cylinder. They hold the wheel cylinder to the assembly plate. And now they're both out. And so we actually do have to keep those guys. Alright, so I'm going to move you guys positions so that way you can see what the next step is. And pause you. Welcome back. Okay, so it is kind of tight in here. So what I'm going to have to do is just wiggle and jiggle and play with him until he picks a side to slide out of. Because the hole lets us gradually rotate him down. We're almost there. A little bit more. Oh, here we go. Come on. Give him a little pep talk around along the way. Actually, I might have to take that bleeder valve out. I don't recall if I took it out on the other side or not. Someone's yelling into the camera. No, you did not. But you don't know because you weren't there for the other side of the vehicle. Oh, he is just so gross on the inside. There we go. I didn't have to take it off. Wiggle, wiggle, jiggle, come out. Okay. I'm going to show you the nastiness. Ew. Look at that. So the other side smelled like rotten seafood. This side doesn't smell as bad. But it did. I opened it. I was like, my gosh, you smell absolutely disgusting. So we got that guy. We're going to toss him to the side. And then get you guys to back up. Safety first. Move my handy cinder block. And I'm going to use some brake cleaner to clean all this off. I'm going to grab the brake cleaner first. Oh, Xena. 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 Okay.
This one's a kiss.
I know. And we're back.
What is that?
This is brake cleaner to get all the gunky, yucky, ooey stuff out of here.
No. No. Go pet, Xena. No. No.
Izzy, will you get me some of the blue paper towels, please?
Yes, Mommy.
Thank you. I'm also going to be cleaning these off because the springs do not include a new spring or another one of the spacers.
Pretty good.
Hmm?
Smells good.
It smells good.
Can I
Isabel's going to grow up thinking that all mommies work on vehicles. All mommies can work on vehicles. We just have to learn how to do it.
Some mommies do not.
What, baby?
Some mommies do not work.
Some mommies don't know how to work on vehicles.
Some mommies don't know how to work.
Some mommies don't know how to work. If I had time, I would just paint these guys. Also going to clean these. I see. They're not really that bad. Those are little spacer guys. Sue, if you were watching, I would love it if you were here to help me clean all this stuff. You know I don't like cleaning. Alright, and we have our bolts. Oh, we also have this guy, which is our adjuster. I'm going to pay special attention to make sure you get all the threads and everything cleaned. If you have nasty manicured nails like I do,
No, I don't.
Izzy, I'm talking to the camera.
Oh.
You can use the threads you can use your nails to clean the threads and stuff. Bam. Also do need to make sure that this thing does rotate because it could be stuck up. It's not. The other side did. So we'll throw some penetrating oil on there, let that sit, and then we'll test it in a little bit. See if we can get it where it's keeping tight with everything, because it should have mobility with it, but it does not right now. Okay, and then that's the springs. Oh, and the plate, the emergency brake line and the plate, they also need to be cleaned, just because why not? Okay, so we've got all of our stuff going there. So now I'm going to grab the springs and we'll start putting her back together again. Okay, I am back with semi-clean hands. I just have paint on me now from whenever I was painting stuff on the Jeep. Because you don't want any oily, yucky stuff going on when you are working on your brakes. It's definitely not a good thing to do. So first step is going to be getting this clip. Actually, it needs to be on this side. Getting this clip back on with the brakes. Line up the hole. And force it a little bit. The other side I didn't really have to force. You guys over here. The other side I didn't really have to force too much. It did work fairly easily, actually. This side doesn't seem like it wants to. It's also suspended. Like I said, on the other side I accidentally took it off. So we're going to try to give it a couple of love taps and see how we're going to get this back in here without disrupting the emergency brake line, because that was a pain in the butt and I don't want to deal with that again. So we're going to have to find something to... This might work. Some way to get this back in here. And I'm very excited because my puppy and my child are both getting along right now. And that's awesome. Sometimes they fight. Because one wants attention and the other one does not. And then the other one wants attention and the other one does not. So they're always at odds over who should get attention. Alright, this just might not be working, so I'm going to grab the other side, put you guys on pause, and try to figure out the best way so I can show you guys. Okay, so I think I figured out what the issue was. It's that I was trying to put it into the wrong hole. Ha ha ha. Funny, funny, funny. Okay, so we have that guy in place, and we're going to go through our bag and find the new pen, or clip, which is right here. We're going to push him in. So you can find a screwdriver. And now he is in. And because I am overly cautious, what I do is grab these from my plumbing box. And I'm going to squish them down. Because I also do plumbing. You guys are going to see all kinds of videos. These are great for turning water off at the meter, which is why I have them. And so now that is tight and it's not going anywhere. Because you don't want your brakes to go anywhere. It's kind of bad. So we are going to get our new springs, which are similar to the pin. This is what I call them. I don't know what the real name is. The pin, spring, and cap springs. So what we'll do is we'll put this guy into place. You notice that this is cylindrical, and this also has a semicircle in it. So the pin goes through the back. That's the only hole that's back there. Again, I'm trying really hard not to get anything on the shoes as I'm going through this process. We're lining up the pin right there. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a pin right there. You'll be able to see the other side better. And we're doing a spring right there. What we're going to do is we're going to squish this in and line it up to the head of it, compress it, and turn it. I need a screwdriver. Because this side is the tighter side. The other side isn't this hard to do because it doesn't have this emergency brake portion. Oh, it was in and then it went out. So line it up, push it in, try to make that cap turn without turning the head, and it's in. Look at that, easy peasy, not really that difficult. So we are also going to grab our pin, our spring, and our cap, or the other side. If we can find our pad for the other side. Oh, here it is. You're part of the royal we, aren't we? Alright, so for this side, if I adjust, you might be able to see it better. There's a hole right here, and this hole is where this pin will go in. And then this pad, again, you use the top part as a good guide. And then you hold that with one hand. And like I said, this one isn't really that bad. So you just line it up, and you turn it, and it's in there. The weight of the shoe keeps it where it's got to go. So we've got that part. And actually, because I'm doing the videos and I get a little ahead of myself because you guys are, I'm not blaming it on you guys, but normally we put the wheel cylinder on there and I wasn't paying attention. So let's put that wheel cylinder in. Put the wheel cylinder in first, guys. Don't be gapping it up and being distracted and all that stuff and then do it the wrong way. So what we're gonna do is, I'm actually going to remove this boot, or the shoe, not boot, the shoe, and his friends and springs. See if I can get this guy in there. I'm going to take his bleeder valve off really quick. I think it's just going to be easier to get him in there. So, bleeder valve, hold it, boom, hand twist it off. If you guys don't know much about bleeder valves, I will be instructing on that in another video. I am going to keep this cap in here. This is the cap that the brake line will go onto, and it just keeps stuff out of there. So, push him in through the side. He's going the right direction. And I'll put him in his little cubby hole right there. And then I am going to actually move you guys so you can see what's going on. Hello again. Okay, so from the other angle you can see that this is the wheel cylinder, and it is dropped down a little bit from me moving the camera. Phone, I'm not all high tech like that. I'm gonna pop the red gasket out. We're gonna actually get this valve in there first because it just makes it easier. So you see the valve going into his hole like he was earlier. And because it's at an angle, it is a little difficult to get it in there, and then your visibility is kind of bad. The bolts are really easy to get in, but this guy kind of puts up a fight just because he was put in there one way, and then he put in there one way, and he wants to be special. And I did have a lot of issues with getting the other guy to get threaded for some reason. I didn't really understand why. It should be a simple concept, like putting in a new bolt, but for whatever reason, it had issues. I think that's caught. I'm just totally hitting my head on the other part of the Jeep. That's right. And getting drips of water from when I pressure washed it. So we're going to stick this in there. I'm going to pause so I can get him snugged up a little bit and then I'll unpause you guys. Okay, so I just had to play with the angle a bunch and then I got it to connect. So now I'm going to put you guys in the front because we do have our bolts in there. So all I did was put the bolts in the wheel cylinder on the other side. That's it. You guys can see that. Flip this around because now my hands are starting to get greasy again from playing with all this stuff. I just hand started them and then popped them in. And I do need to put that bleeder valve. Need to put the bleeder valve back in, so bear with me for a moment because I have it right here. But I saw something kind of nifty that somebody did. Their Jeep. But they actually had a little cap on here to protect that. And I just think that's genius. I mean, if other people, you know, if that's your common thing to do, that's great. I just have not seen it. But, because none of my vehicles have a little cap on their bleeder valve. And I'm definitely going to be keeping the caps that came with the wheel cylinders and adding them onto my bleeder valves as, you know, another level of protection for that. So I'm going to move you guys and we will continue with the shoes. Okay, and we're back again. So we are going to put our shoe back on. I did that a moment ago. Push through the back. Make it butt up and meet the front. Spring. Cap. Turn the cap. Make sure that it's where it needs to be, which is right there. And there we go. Gravity works. Okay, so I did put some penetrating oil on this. It is swivelly again. So now that we've got our guides put back in here, we're gonna set him up. Sorry if I was in you guys' way. I didn't mean that. So basically those open ends go on either side. This brake is not sitting exactly where I want him to be. So I'm gonna rough house with him for a moment. There we go. Because as they get more springs, they'll become more tight, but I still want to keep them where they're supposed to be. All right, so we have that guy. We have our plate. So need to do our build back right here. So we've got our wheel cylinders also need their attachments added in. Going completely out of order on this one. Sorry guys. And they just get shoved into the hole. And then once they're in there, they get pushed out, right? They get on the sides of the shoe. I'm looking for our other one. They kind of blend in with the asphalt. So just like with the other guy, and I know I'm using a screwdriver to shove it in. It just makes it easier and it's not so hard on my fingers. Because I didn't put them in whenever I should have, because remember we were out of order. So I am just pinning him up on this shoe. Oh, he was almost there. And again, this is more of an instructional on how to do it. So if you know how the working components work, it's easier to do it. So we'll just go in the order, but they don't explain the why or the rationale and all of that stuff. And if you do, then that's great. You're making great videos. Sometimes I have to watch videos if I can't refer to my manual. So I appreciate you doing that. This one is just not exactly straight, so it's presenting as a problem. There we go. Okay, so I think one day I'll end up getting some of those like glasses that can record what I see. Okay, so we have both of our guys in place. This guy is not actually in place because he just popped back out. This is why I have a preference for the disc brakes, because this is just way too complicated for brakes. It's complicated, it's annoying. What they have now is so much better. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can give you guys a better angle, which is gonna be right here. And every now and then I'll mess your angle up. Alright, so we also have our spacer clip and spring. So that will be going in there. You have to turn it to make it pop in. This side has this side has the spring. Kind of fight with it, get it in place. And there's one side. We have the screwdriver. We will very nicely tuck the spring back. And then push it into place. Which is almost there. I like the bearing video better because you can actually see what I was doing. I'm trying to make it where you guys can see. I'm sure you see at this point that you don't want to do the drum brakes because they are annoying. Incredibly annoying. That side is in. And you know what's her thing that is he just threw. Alright, and now that side is in. Go get it! Alright. Wheel cylinder, springs, adjustable guy. He fell out while I was playing with other stuff. And he lost his top. Coughing, I don't have coronavirus. I have allergies. See, he lost his top. I put him. You guys being over there is kind of messing up my visibility now. Scooting everybody around so we can get him in. Okay, he is now in. And we are looking for, we have our emergency line, we have our plate, but we do not have our guide, which keeps the emergency brake line in place because it is still on the old one. So remember this guy. And give him a shot of brake cleaner really quick. Wipe him off. Alright, so he goes here, and we need our bag of springs, which is Lewis. This is our first spring. Yellow just like the other one. And what that does is that holds that in place. I'm just trying to attach to that. Okay, so this will go up here. trying to make it where that spring just stays while we're in process. Because the springs, the yellow spring that I just tucked under, will actually go to support this one. Okay, and then we have the plate.
Oopsie.
It's okay. And our spinner guys actually flipped the wrong way around. So we will rotate him because the spinner, when it's in here, ends up going onto the clip that's in there, and this goes across it like that. So his wheel has to be on the same side as the plate, and then the spring, the new white spring, will end up stretching from here to another hole. And what I did do when I was doing the other side is I took pictures, and so I will insert those pictures in here, and then I will probably take a couple of pictures from my Jeep book with whatever diagram they have, because this is a pain in the butt. Isabel, can you not ride by where my tools are, please? That's my 4-way and I don't want you to get hurt on it. Alright, so we're going to stick this into hole, and where you guys are not going to be able to see it, the spring is also going to get attached. And it's because everything's spaced out, so it won't let us do all that. So we're going to let that hang out right there. We're going to go ahead and put this all in position because it all is on intense. So now this side is exactly where it needs to be, and you can see there's a gap here, so that side is not where it needs to be. So we're going to get a handy dandy screwdriver and hopefully have enough clearance to get this, because this part is very annoying and frustrating. And all the videos, unless they have the special tools, they all do struggle with this. But this is the way that I think it could possibly work. It's going back and forth between the screws and ignoring the outside noise. And almost getting it and then not getting it. There is. There's like a little tool that just makes this so much easier, but my e-brake line fell off. But we don't have that tool, unfortunately. So I am improvising to the best of my abilities. And if I had I need a screwdriver that's a little bit smaller than that one. Same screwdriver from earlier. Oh, I get so close. Nope. I gotta put it back on my knee. Yes, this is the most frustrating part. And after this, I will end up getting... Oh. After this, I will end up getting that special tool. I'm gonna buy the special socket, so I might as well get the special tool for this. There. So, it takes you a few tries. That's what it does. And you gotta adjust your little plate down here, because that has to be right there. And now that's back to where it needs to be. And because I am overly cautious, I do bend this back. I'm actually gonna make it tighter than that, because I don't want the screw to pop off or something like that to happen. So now it's tighter, and that's there, and so it should give us a little bit more tightness with all of this. And then we still got that plate that we're gonna have to do, which also has another screw in it. Or not a screw, but a spring. So we have this yellow screw yellow spring that'll end up being there. Oh, well, that might be nice, because I might not have... Oh, it's already in here. Okay, so we have our spring. Check our orientation here. This guy's going to go on the inside, like so. Stretch the spring. Grabbing the emergency brake. And where he goes, which is inside of the clip. Again, I'm sorry you guys can't see anything, but I am trying really hard to explain it to the best of my abilities. Now that that is attached, I am going to put the spring in. This is what ended up working after I fought with this on the other side. I ended up making it where, I don't know if I can pull it down. Okay, so now you can see. So the white spring is attached right here where it should be, and then it goes down and it's attached to this plate. I also have my emergency brake line attached right here. So what I found, instead of fighting with the spring between all of this, and you can barely see, is I hooked those guys up. And then I tightened down my adjustable vice grips. Cha. All the way down, actually. Fun to do this one-handed. I did all that, and I just grabbed this bad boy. And I loosened it up just a smidge so he could bite down. Bam. Nope, not the right spot. He wasn't moving. And I just ended up pulling it and shoving it into its space. And it worked. So we're going to try that again for this side. It might be the other way, so I might end up having to change angles. But it did. It worked. Right, he was hooked. I just couldn't get him in all the way. Man! These brakes are... Drum brakes are so stupid. I can't stand this. This is just ridiculous. I'm gonna have to do the brakes on one of my other vehicles pretty soon. And when I show you guys how easy it is with other brakes, you're gonna be like, why? I'm keeping them because I don't want to pay $700 for some other ones. That's what the chief complaint is right now. $700 for no brand. Don't know if they're gonna last. Set. Alright, I'm gonna pause you guys because this is a pain. And I'm gonna get this guy in there without being all self-conscious as you guys see me acting all squirrely with this. And then we'll get this spring back in, give it a quick rinse, and then we'll be good. I might keep you on for a second. If I can get this on real quick, I'll you guys will at least get to see the second one, but it's pretty much just like the first one. Oh, look. See? That one was perfect. We didn't even have to fight with it like we fought with the other one. Bam. And then what did I say you do? Squish the clips. Don't play with the brakes. There. Now they're both rounded out. This one still could go a little bit further. And look. So we got all of it going on except for this one. Just one piece. But we'll get it. It's not a big deal. I'll do some adjustments. Squish everybody back in a little bit more. Definitely clean it up because even though I started with clean hands, I don't have clean hands anymore. So I'll put this guy. That is not where you go. You go like this. Put this guy back where he's supposed to go. And that last piece is that clip. And it's basically this little piece that goes into this hole that you can barely see down there. And that's it. We're done. And then we'll pop the hub on. So I'll be back in a moment. So actually when this, when the adjuster fell out, Izzy, stop that please. When the, not right now. When the adjuster fell out, it actually easily went into place. So now I'm going to just kind of wrestle with it and get the adjuster back in there. And then we will be good. I'm going to pause you guys since my daughter's trying to scooch the bucket around. Okay. I just wrestled with it, and I got it there. I just gave this a couple love taps on the top because things had shifted around a little bit. And now we are finally at the end of our video. Unfortunately, I had just painted this with some caliper paint, even though it's not a caliper. It's good for a caliper, it'll be good for this. And it got all dirty because I pressure washed the Jeep. So then that final lovely step is getting this guy put all back in here. Whew. Which might require just a smidgen more banging. Of the stud switches, not right there. Oh, actually, pause. Brake cleaner, and then I'll put it on, and then I'll show you guys. All right, and there it is. I had to roughhouse with it and all the rest of that, but it's back on, and everything looks good. Sorry, had to pause you guys. Child and puppy having issues. Okay. So I just roughhoused with it. It's back in place. I'm not going to be putting the tire back on right now because I'm going to sand and spray paint it just like I did the other three. And I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. I hope that this was informative. Yeah, all the craziness that's going on back there. I hope this was informative. Okay. Oh gosh. Okay, let me stand up because my puppy is going crazy. I hope everything was informative. I hope you feel like you learned some stuff. Going to keep working on it and trying to see what's going on. So I hope you guys all have a great quarantine, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks.